Look, I mean, you got to be out of your damn mind to be naked short in this silver market right now. And I think that you could argue that this is the gyrations of commercial banks that are trapped, that are getting squeezed and doing all they can to knock it down to cover their stale short positions. What we've seen is tremendous resiliency. Before, man, when they would step on it, they would step on its nuts and really step on it, and then its neck, and it would never come back, and it would take forever to come back. And now what you're seeing is immediate bounce back, wasting of ammunition, only making the ultimate outcome like a coiled spring or a beach ball. You push further and further and further underwater till when it gets past your hand, it knocks your chin off as it comes up. And that's the kind of demand that I would expect to see when you see a sovereign nation like Russia say this. I would argue India and China have been doing it without saying it. India has imported over 800 million ounces of silver in the last few years and really has been very quiet about it. China is the second largest producer of silver in the world, and maybe they're the largest. I mean, who knows how much they actually produce. But now, as we've talked about on your show, they're flying all around the globe and buying concentrate and doré bars, largely in Latin America, from the miners directly, disintermediating the marketplace, the commercial banks, and the exchanges, which provides cover to their acquisition, paying double what the West will pay for unrefined sludge, in essence, and bars that are crudely refined by the miners before they get full refined by the refineries. And that is indicative of the demand for silver. The Citibank, their lead analyst, Max Layton, this says, look, silver's up 35% so far this year. It's leading the silver or the metals complex, but that they expect it over the next 3 months to $35 and 38 or higher over the next 6 to 12. To me, those are conservative, very conservative. But this is a game that won't end well. You can't trade 2.9 billion ounces of silver per day in London, which is 3.5 times annual global mine supply, on this leverage, ridiculous scam of an exchange, without running into some serious problems when you have these sovereign nations standing for delivery. In the month of August, 8.1% of the entire silver float in London was delivered. So the only reason they're able to get rid of or get away with this, in years past, they got away with it because the countries that are now draining the exchanges, using our suppression against us, who are now wise to the game and therefore quiet to the stupidity of the West, keep it as quiet as long as they can and just pickpocket whatever they're stupid enough to short, was they weren't coordinated or sophisticated or motivated enough to do it. They are now, and that's how they win, where 8% is delivered off the exchange, where this is a continuation of what we're seeing all around the globe. So ultimately, silver goes higher than anyone thinks possible. When you add into it, for the first time, a government officially saying it will be part of our reserves, this is a big deal. And, these countries understand that gold and silver represent far more than commodities. They represent far more than strategic metals and monetary metals. They represent the Achilles heel to the West. You don't have to get into a hot war with the United States to severely cripple us, and that would be by draining all of the world's commodities that are traded on these exchanges that the Western banks have been stupid enough to naked short to a degree that it will pull them down if they are unable to meet delivery requirements or delivery requests, rather, and could start to spiral into other areas of the whole entire banking complex. So the issue here is that these exchanges have always allowed for delivery. No one ever stood for delivery. But now these nations are standing for delivery.
When a sovereign nation like Russia declares silver as part of their reserves, you know something big is happening. As they and countries like China quietly drain global supplies, they're using the West's own manipulation against them. Russia isn't just holding silver. They're actively buying up raw silver directly from miners across the globe, bypassing traditional markets. They're paying double what the West offers, all to gain control over a critical resource. The West's naked shorting of silver is now becoming its Achilles heel. And when this coiled spring finally snaps, the repercussions could be catastrophic. It's a strategic move that could reshape the financial power dynamics worldwide.
Every time there's been a war that has broken out, gold and silver and oil get slammed down. It was like a deal, an unspoken deal with our allies, and that would be to pump more oil, or to suppress the price of oil, or to suppress the price of metals. And all of the Western G7 nations went to work in coordination to do that, instead of freaking people out that, oh my God, we're at war again, it's Desert Storm, and God only knows what's going to happen, and gold should be flying but it's down, oil should be flying but it's down. It was this unspoken agreement, if you will, almost that with our allies, I think, that kept calm in the marketplace. And this is changing. It's as if this is changing, and that it's almost every country for themselves. This unspoken rule isn't really in place any longer. What I'm getting at is that if you've been at this long enough, and even though things are changing, um, you've been disappointed, where logic and outcome have been inversely correlated, and the price action is maddening. So people are like the dog, are expecting the next shoe to drop. But
Yep.
when the world is accumulating the physical product the way that they are, this falls right into the hands of the rest of the world. And that's why they're not bitching, because they're the ones buying it. But when
Yep.
you see the cumulative volume on the Shanghai Metals Exchange over the last 6 months increase roughly 400%, surpassing COMEX, these are little steps in the process, because they will reach a point where the Western price is so full of shit that it switches to Shanghai, it switches to Dubai, it switches to Moscow, these exchanges, which are gaining volume and credibility, legitimacy, and they will start to set the price. But this is falling right into the hands of those that are standing for delivery. So this is not something to be bummed out about. I mean, when we talk about the incentive of the West, they're full of shit in every single way. I mean, look at the unemployment numbers, right? So the unemployment numbers were revised, right, last year by 1 million jobs, 818,000 at the end of the year, and over 200,000 during the course of the year, right? So all of these great metrics that Biden kept citing, we hit the economy strong, and look at how great our labor market is, really wasn't great and haven't been great. And we missed the mark, and they quietly revised them after the fact. People don't notice it, right? And but the latest employment numbers here in September exemplify just how dishonest all of the numbers are, whether we're talking about the price of gold and silver, what its real price is, or their effort to keep this game going. And what I mean by that is that, we had this amazing, and first of all, the fact that the BLS, it should just be called the bullshit, not the BLS. It should be the BS. But the way they've revised and manipulated unemployment and screwed with inflation numbers, the CPI, why anyone believes anything that they're talking about is beyond me. But anyways, if you look at the numbers that they have come out with recently, it's absolutely insane. They show this huge increase in unemployment, or in employment, here in the month of September. And they said, oh, it's, we've had such a great number of jobs that have been increased by 254,000 jobs. Well, I mean, this is right before the election. They want us to believe that inflation's coming down and the economy is getting stronger. Of course, if that were the case, then why the hell did they drop rates by 50 basis points? But even still, 254,000 jobs, the biggest monthly increase since March, and much more than the average monthly gain of 203,000 over the prior 12 months. Well, one of the reasons they did this is because there's something called the SAM rule, the Claudia SAM rule, where if they were where they should be, and I'll explain where they really are in a minute, we would have triggered a recession. And she's predicted it 9 recessions in a row, where you take a 3-month rolling average of unemployment, and if it rises by 50 basis points, you're in a recession. And it's predicted it 9 times in a row. Well, these numbers just popped above that. So now you're not triggering the Sam rule into the election, and there's 254,000 jobs. The economy sounds great. Why anyone would believe it is beyond me. But the reality, if you look under the hood, is that it's a bunch of horse shit. 458,000 jobs were shed in the month during the month, and those are what's called non-seasonally adjusted. Those are like kids who were working landscaping jobs or working at the mall and whatever, went back to college. So they got rid of those jobs. But so we lost 458,000. They're telling us that we gained 254, the biggest increase in a long time. But what they don't tell us, as putrid and sickening as this is that they added 785,000 government jobs, the highest monthly surge on record. So 785,000 jobs to the machine, a machine that has no profit motive, meaning they are not in any way whatsoever efficient. They waste money. They spend money that it's not theirs. They don't care. They don't produce anything other than debt and divisiveness. And we added 785,000 jobs and tout what a great economy it is. It's so disgusting. It's unbelievable. All these jobs do is crowd out the private sector and create inefficiencies everywhere they go. So they lie to us. They lie to us about inflation. They lie to us about unemployment. And they're doing the best they can to mask the real value of gold and silver to keep us trapped within a system.
Now that you know the truth behind the manipulated employment numbers and what they mean for the economy, you're going to need to dive into the next important video on this channel. It's crucial for understanding how these tactics fit into the bigger picture of the financial system and what you can do to protect your assets. Don't miss it.